Hello everyone, Ian Earl aka Senior Everything here, and it's time for a review of the new Oh Hello's album, Notos. Now this came out on December 8th, 5 days ago, and honestly, or 4 days ago. Again, my upload schedule is completely fucked, so I have no idea when this is going up. But, so to get into the first thing, obviously the first track that I heard was Torches. It was the lead-up single to this album, the only single, if I remember correctly, but I mean, then again, it's the Oh Hellos. They're not gonna get, they're not trying to get all the hype in the world. In fact, if I had to make a guess, this doesn't even seem like an album. I'm pretty sure that this is something to, tide us over until the next big thing, because Through the Deep Dark Valley, that was a huge project. Well, it wasn't huge. It only had 11 songs, but I mean, it was the breakthrough project for them. It had all of the stuff that you would expect from a solid, well-conceived, well-built album. Then they followed that up. I need to do something. Give me 1 second. Then they followed that up with a extremely short, only 4 or 5 song Christmas album, which wasn't that bad, but again, it was something that tied them over. Then the next year they released Dear Wormwood, which is, to this day, my favorite Oh Hellos album. I mean, they've only released 3, but, it's so just massive. And one thing that I loved was, when they started out, they were just another, singer-songwriter, folk outfits. But with, that is its name, Dear Wormwood, geez, they really changed that. They didn't just do the folk acoustic, very atmospheric stuff, which again I really, really liked. Their sound was great. Their themes were there. It was very pretty. It was very slightly abstract. It had a very woods adventure tale type deal. The kind of stuff that you would hear on the remake of Beauty and the Beast or something like that. They had a very nice, a very pretty, a very well-conceived and extremely well-written folk approach to rock, essentially. Well, not on their first project. This is Dear Wormwood, because their first project, again, completely folk, completely acoustic, very singer-songwriter, but Dear Wormwood had so much more depth to it. I mean, the other one, it wasn't bad, and it still had depth, but it wasn't as technically superior. It wasn't as sophisticated. It didn't have those searing electric guitar things that they added, and it didn't have those very spacey and atmospheric, textures in the background. It didn't have again, the idea of making an album about C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters is genius, no matter how good the album is, but fortunately the album was able to more than enough carry its own for that sort of concept. And now we have the new album, Notos, or Notos, I don't know. I don't know if you put stress on the T. And honestly, I like this album. It's not necessarily anything new, which I mean is fine. If you have a system, and if you have a style that really, really works, it'll work very, very well. And again, this is an amazing sounding album. It's got nice textures. It's got very, very passionate, very passionate vocals and instrumentals. It's got very nice, different moods throughout the whole thing. Usually it's very quiet and moody, but then you have the very bombastic choruses. Sounds very pretty. All Oh Hello stuff is gonna sound amazing, but for the only reason why this album is not as good as it could be, I think, is because, again, they're not really doing anything new. There are some parts on this album that sound so similar to their past stuff. I mean, there's this interlude, and this is gonna make it as my worst track, because, I mean, it's a freaking 7-song album, There's no need for a 50-second interlude. This album, I think, is under half an hour. It's super short. And, here, let me check the actual length. 20 minutes. It is 20 minutes long. So, I mean, they don't really need the interlude, but besides the fact that it's out of place and that it doesn't need to be there, it also is it's so similar to something like the intro track to Dear Wormwood. Um, Actually, no, that's exactly what it's like. It's literally if someone just turned the volume down on the intro to Dear Wormwood. It's this very spacey, atmospheric, and again, I like that sort of sound and those sort of textures. That's what made Dear Wormwood so great. But when you're just taking that and you're making a song out of it, and it's 50 seconds on an album that really just needs more solid tracks, because I mean every other song on here is really really good, but you don't need that interlude. You don't need the it's called Planetarium stickers on the ceiling. Let me check. I was close. It's Planetarium stickers on a bedroom ceiling. But anyway, yeah, it felt out of place. Yeah, and a lot of the sounds here again, they just call back to Dear Wormwood so much, which again is not a problem. It's a great sound, but it'd be nice to see them do something a little bit more new. I am anticipating a much bigger project soon because I mean again, it's 20 minutes long, you know. It's there. This is not going to be the last word that we're going to hear from him. Probably in the next year or so, maybe 2 years, I don't know, but I know that this is not going to be the insane project that Dear Wormwood was. But yeah. Good album. I really like the sounds. Oh, I've got to go into my favorite tracks. Probably Torches again because the chorus is so good. I mean, it starts off. It sounds very similar to everything that we heard before, but I don't know the violin, the sassy violin playing on the chorus just makes it for me. It's so good. It's so very much. It adds a much needed change of pace to the song. Because I mean, up until that point, it was just a very melodic, very nice sounding, sweet, finger picking the acoustic guitar. Then those violins come in, and it really like adds like color to the whole song, which I really like. Another great track is New River, the final track on this song. I don't know, there's just something different about it. I really like the melody and the chord progressions that they have here. It's very, very repetitive, but in a good way. It kind of reminds me of like I don't know, like Pixies, like chanting in the woods, doing this song. But it's not like a silly track. It's a very good thought out track. It feels like every time that they do it, they add something new. The chemistry on that track is amazing. It's there. And again, the chord progression is just so unique. I mean, it's almost like medieval, like the lute player kind of sounding. Which I don't think I've ever really heard from them. But yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so final thoughts, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, a decent, strong 7 out of 10, an extremely great sounding album, some new things here and there. It's definitely doing what worked so well on Dear Wormwood, but it's not the most original thing they've ever done. I mean, there's nothing that new here. And also that interlude is just so infuriating. Yeah, thanks for watching. I'm Senior Everything, aka Ian Earl, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Oh, and remember, if it ain't Senior Everything, it ain't anything.